It's always an enjoyable experience when I get to film this after picking Captain Choice and Differential correctly. What's up guys and welcome to FPL Today. Looking forward to Game Week 29 in association with FPL Updates, your website for articles, hints and tips, tricks and advice from people like me and so many other FPL experts. And before we get into today's episode, make sure to answer in the comments down below the question of the game week. How many hits did you take in Game Week 28 and how did they play out for you and how are they affecting your Game Week 29? My Game Week 28 wasn't too bad. I actually took a minus 12 point hit for transfers, making 4 transfers in total, which made sure I had a team of 11. Now that actually came good for me because one of those transfers was Joshua King, who easily covered all the other transfers in. Unfortunately, Funes Mori wasn't the best transfer in. Neither was Andy Carroll, but my other 2 transfers, Lukaku back in for Aguero and Joshua King in, made up for everything. That means I ended up on 47 points for the game week, and that's not too bad in a game week where the average was 19. That actually put me at a game week rank of 71,694th, making my total points now 1,576 and my overall rank at 17,622nd. My JNO Classic rank improved to 27th. I'm still top of the FPL Update Writers League, and in the FPL Updates Classic League I'm now up to 445th, and that is the Classic League where you can win £400 if you get to the top of that league. Now unfortunately I'm nowhere near the top of that league, but it would still be nice if FPL Updates sent me something. I'm just kidding. My only mistake, maybe it would have been even better for me had I not gone and taken points hits for Funes Mori and Andy Carroll, but I wanted to make sure I was spreading my bets across people I thought could score in the game week. Of course, hindsight is a wonderful thing. If I'd known Joshua King was going to score that well, I would have only brought him and Lukaku in, and I would have even better of a score from game week 28. If we have a look at my classic and head-to-head leagues, we can see mainly green or holding position, apart from in the JNO Invitational, where FPL Tips has finally taken the spot above me in that league. Slightly annoying, but he does know what he's talking about. If we have a look at the Dream Team would have got you 134 points, and the players to talk about, we are looking at the likes of Alfie Mawson back in the Dream Team of the week, showing that his finishing is quite good when he gets the chances. The Dream Team also proved I picked the exact wrong centre-back from Everton, as both Ashley Williams and Jagielka make it into the Dream Team of the week. My differential scored the most in the game week, Joshua King. This is very comforting for me considering the amount of Everton midfielders that surrounded him. And I would have never have seen Niasse next to Lukaku in this Dream Team of the week, but if you brought him in as a punt, well done to you. So my star of the week, and it has to go to Joshua King, coming in at 5.6 million. He has scored 3 goals in game week 28 from 5 attempts, getting 3 of his shots on target, so every shot he had on target ended up in a goal. Apart from the penalty, I don't know why that doesn't count as a shot, because I'm sure he took a penalty in that game, but that's not come up on the stats. But just beware, he missed the penalty or was saved. He came in with a minutes per chance of 19.2 minutes, giving him a shot accuracy of 60% and a goal conversion of 60% as well. Goal involvement in that game, he was involved in 100% of the goals. So who was your star of the week? Who came through for you in game week 28? Let me know in the comments down below. We now get onto the part of the show where we look at the hot list, and it is a lot of change but also a lot of familiar faces. We now have the whole of the Premier League open to us again. There are some names that are going to be missing from this list, but I'm going off of current form and also looking at current news about people that could be leaving their clubs. Hence why Alexis Sanchez is not appearing for me, because I don't have any certainty around that Arsenal side at the moment. I want to kind of see how things settle down. I might take a punt on Alexis Sanchez. I'm not saying he's a bad choice. He's just not making my hot list just yet. So we're starting with the goalkeepers, and we're starting with Joel Rebels in goal as the number 1 choice in the hot list, above Lee Grant in second and Darren Randolph in third. Robles still has a nice next fixture coming up against Hull at home, has got 3 clean sheets, has conceded only 3 goals in the last 4 game weeks and has saved 10 shots in total. Now you may want to transfer him out after the whole game because it is Liverpool and Man United after that, but then it's Leicester, Burnley and West Ham, two of those, the first two being home games. So he is someone that maybe you want to transfer out and bring back in. Moving on to the defenders, and we have Alfie Mawson back in the number 1 spot. I think he's been number 1 before, with Seamus Coleman as number 2 and Andrew Robertson coming in at number 3. Alfie Mawson, 4.6 million. He's only got 1 clean sheet in the last 4 game weeks. However, despite conceding 7, he has scored 2, and his shot accuracy and goal conversion is at 33.3%, which is impressive. Coming up next for him is Bournemouth away, but then it's Middlesbrough at home before a Tottenham fixture, which you probably want to avoid playing him in, and then it's West Ham, Watford and Stoke. We then have a look at the midfielders, and Sigurdsson is still there because he's still scoring points every game week, and he is above Joshua King. Joshua King deserves a place on the hot list after his game week, and then Sadio Mane is coming in 3rd. Gylfi Sigurdsson at 7.7 million now doesn't have any goals in the last 4 game weeks, but he does have 14 attempts, of which 4 were on target, and has had 4 assists in 4 game weeks. He's created 13 chances for his teammates, and he's involved in 57.1% of his team's goals in the last 4 game weeks. Next up for them again is Bournemouth and Middlesbrough, which are nice games. Then you also have West Ham, Watford and Stoke, who are all games that Sigurdsson could return in. And then finally we have the forwards, and Romelu Lukaku is going to stay in number 1. Gabbiadini is my choice as the second best striker. He's just been on fire since he's joined Southampton. And then Llorente is 3rd. Kane isn't there because of that injury. Ibrahimovic isn't there because of his suspension. Costa, of course, is a great shout. He has the pedigree. He's just not making my hot list just yet. And Aguero hasn't been banging him in recently and has kind of lost his FPL royalty status. So we're going with Lukaku. And in the last 4 game weeks, he's got 3 goals from 12 attempts, with a minutes per chance coming in at 31.4. And then we have shot accuracy of 58.3%. Goal conversion of 25% and a goal involvement of 57.1. His next fixture, just like Robles, is against Hull, which I can see him scoring in. Then he does have some tough fixtures, but he's the type of striker that can turn up against big sides. Then we have Leicester, Burnley and West Ham. So that wraps up the hot list for this game week. Let me know if you think I've missed anyone. Tell me how wrong I am to not include the likes of Eden Hazard and Alexis Sanchez. Always open for discussion, always open for criticism, because usually I prove people wrong. Okay, so now let's look forward to game week 29, and we have a lot of fixtures where I think there could be a lot of big points, especially as people try and adapt their side after trying to sort it out for game week 28. We have West Brom versus Arsenal. People are unlikely to have Arsenal players at the moment. I'm not really sure what to think of Arsenal at the moment, with their current issues with Alexis Sanchez being started on the bench, with them being knocked out of the Champions League in such decisive fashion. However, West Brom can concede quite a few goals, and if Sanchez is playing, you would imagine he would be either getting assists or goals in this game. If you kept hold of him, this may be where it pays off for you. We then have Everton versus Hull, 2 sides that people will have players from. I can see Everton assets being very important this game week because it depends which ones score. If you have the correct ones, everything is fine. If you have the wrong ones, then you could be struggling. For instance, if you have Funes Mori and you don't have any of the other defenders, you would have struggled last game week if you didn't have people scoring points elsewhere. Hull also are starting to have some assets of their own in Fantasy Premier League, which should be taken into consideration. Players like Niasse and Andrew Robertson. We then have Stoke versus Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, are known to win games. It's just whether you pick the right option from their side. It was at one point Costa who was always getting some points, but now it could be Costa, Hazard, Fabregas, Pedro, Willian. You don't know where the points are going to come from, which is irritating. You used to be able to rely on their defence as well, but since game week 22 they've not picked up any clean sheets, so it's getting harder to pick the right Chelsea assets to use, despite the fact that we're all very confident they're going to win the Premier League. Also, some people will have Stoke players considering they had that double game week, but I really don't see Stoke keeping Chelsea at bay in this one. We then have Bournemouth versus Swansea, and this could be a game full of points if the Bournemouth and Swansea defensive of old turn up. Now, Bournemouth can chip in quite a few goals and concede quite a few goals, so can Swansea. So this could be a massive game for the likes of Sigurdsson, Joshua King, Llorente and Bournemouth and Swansea defenders who are known to score goals. We then have Middlesbrough versus Manchester United, and this makes the review of the fixtures because there is no Zlatan. Could this mean that Rashford and Martial come forward as FPL options? Maybe Wayne Rooney has a final swan song as a FPL asset, but Middlesbrough are a resilient side, so they could potentially keep Man United out in this one. We then have Tottenham versus Southampton, and I was going to hype this up as Gabbiadini versus Harry Kane, and Harry Kane likely isn't going to play in this one, but Gabbiadini has looked sharp since his transfer to Southampton. As far as Tottenham goes, Dele Alli usually plays better when Kane is on the field, so it could be the likes of Son who benefit the most from this, because there was that period at the beginning of the season where Son was scoring a lot of points in Harry Kane's absence. And then we end with Manchester City versus Liverpool. I say it pretty much every week now, this is the type of game that Liverpool like to turn up for, so the Liverpool assets could score big in this game. Players like Mane, Firmino, Coutinho. However, Man City, you never know what Man City you're going to get. Maybe they turn up, maybe some of their assets like Sterling, Sane and Aguero score. You never know though with Guardiola, the new Tinkerman, who is going to play, which is why I don't regularly suggest Man City players. So now we look at the captain poll for the game week, and Romelu Lukaku comes in at top, most likely because he's the player almost everyone will have at the moment and he has a plum fixture. Just behind him is Alexis Sanchez, and then Diego Costa and Sergio Aguero, as of the time of recording this, are tying for that third spot in the polls I have looked at. My captain choice, and I'm sticking with Romelu Lukaku for the second game week in a row. Maybe he didn't return as well as Joshua King did, but he did get a return and he comes in at 10.3 million, and at the moment he's probably the most consistent big money striker you can get in Fantasy Premier League. And I never thought I'd say that because I've always said Lukaku's one problem is consistency. With 19 goals this season and a goal involvement rate of 52.2%, his shot accuracy is at 51.4% for the season and goal conversion at 25.7%. So he converts almost a quarter of his chances that he has on target. He's had 5 assists this season as well and has created 38 chances for his teammates. We then look at the differential of the game week, and I'm going with Joshua King again. It's like it's game week 28 still. Coming in at 5.6 million and an ownership of 6.9%. He's got 11 goals this season, a lot of them scored recently, and a goal involvement of 48%. Attempts he's had 44 with 21 of them on target. His shot accuracy is 47.7%, his goal conversion is 25%. And then finally the red herring of the game week, and I think it's early transfers. Because of what's happened to Harry Kane, 34,000 players brought Harry Kane in, and now they've wasted one of their transfers before game week 29. I understand the notion of building value for your side by transferring these players in early who are going to go up in price. I get the whole theory behind it, but people bring in players early and then find themselves in situations like this. And at the end of the day, the most important thing in FPL at the end of the season is how many points you had and how high up in the ranking you are. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in as always to FPL Today. If you have any questions for me either on YouTube or on the FPL Today website, make sure to leave the questions down in the comments down below. Because I'm getting this out quite early, we have almost all week for you guys to ask me some questions. I will try and get another FPL video up, probably about the double game weeks coming up, as I'm getting this done so early in the week. With all that being said, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Also hit that like button. All your support guys is much appreciated. I've been JNO, you guys have been awesome, and remember, it's all about the game.